It's Sunday and it is the tour of love. We are here with all of you. Happy Valentine's Day, and we have some kind of feedback going on, so we will work on that as we are starting out. Hello, Helene. We are going to introduce everybody on our panel as people are showing up, and want to say happy Heart Day, happy Valentine's Day. Hope all is well. Everybody is safe and warm. We were talking about that. Many people cold today. We are live on the 360 TV platform. Do want to remind everybody, go get the app so that you have it on all of your smart devices. You can also go through the internet to e360tv.com. However, go to the app so you have it with you at all times. You can go and watch it on demand. We have Kelly, Faye. It's nice to see you, my dear. Happy Valentine's. Lori, happy Valentine's. I have a feeling a lot of our buddies are going to be showing up today. And Helene Wilson, one of our ambassadors, want to say welcome. So we're going to be talking, and today, guess what? I am not going to take the lead chair. I'm actually going to switch this around right now. Poe is actually going to be kind of taking the lead chair. However, right before we do that, I'm going to let Carol and Bilyana introduce themselves. And for all of you, I am Tamara Hunter, and I am the president and co-founder of the nonprofit that this show supports, and that is cb4l.org. Happy to have you all with us on the Tour of Love. Okay, so Bilyana, why don't you start off?
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and good evening from Central Europe. I'm currently physically in South Bulgaria, where I was born and I was raised, but I'm based in London. I run two of my businesses, and I've been on different programs, what you're going to hear today on that show, and they all talk about neuroplasticity and how that works with the brain and the heart, and how when we synchronize, magic happens. I lost you, Tamara.
I'm here. I just was muting to see where the background noise was coming from, playing with the digital studio back here. And Caroline Brown-Berzins, I want to welcome you as our senior ambassador. Why don't you introduce yourself a bit?
I'm happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I'm Caroline Berzins, and I'm coming to you live from Toronto, Canada. I am a senior ambassador for Chemo Buddies for Life, and also assistant producer for Tamara Hunter's Tour Service Hero Show.
Thank you. And then we have Poe. Poe, I'm going to let you take it from here. You are muted.
Tour of love with for Valentines, and with these wonderful people who, you know, Carol's in Canada and Bilyana's in Europe, and they're in a beautiful part of the country. I wish you had some pictures to show out your windows or around there. That is so spectacular. And of course, Tamara, who's out on the West Coast, who's probably enjoying some of the warmer weather than any of us. I know we're cold here in Arkansas is where I'm at. But anyhow, so today I've been so excited, and Bilyana was on, I think, a Service Hero show, and a lot of her background and introduction, and we were talking before we came on live about some of the people that were involved that introduced her and her experience that inspired her. Sometimes we need that inspiration. For a lot of us, like myself, it was cancer 11 years ago almost. And that's actually how I met Tamara and became very involved with this CB4L group, thinking actually before it was a nonprofit, to say, boy, that is something I was missing 11 years ago, and did all the surgeries and the treatments, but having that partnership, that buddy system was such a component missing in my life. And so I immediately thought I want to be a part of helping with that. But with growing through our own self-help and our own self-love, we talk a lot about, how do we, within this world of COVID, within this world of cancer, in this world of trauma, so many different things impact our life, and so many things that we fear and worry about that sometimes come true, sometimes don't come true. My prognosis wasn't good with cancer, and so I was very much thinking, okay, I'm not going to let that energy become what owns me. I am going to shift that. And how do I do that? And so much of what I was doing and where I was in Sedona, Arizona, relates to so much. I'm excited to hear from Bilyana about her story and how she was introduced to this heart math, and even Dr. Joe Dispenza, who was in the film Sacred Journey of the Heart that I produced years ago, and where I went out to San Jose, where the Institute of Heart Math is, and understanding that the heart is really where the action is. Everybody thinks it's the brain down, but there's more neurons that are coming this way from your heart to the brain. And so the brain is really a tool. So much of it is follow your heart and that gut feeling that you have, or even the power of prayer, or things that your intention is really, when it comes, prayer is not just words like, oh, my father plays dominoes better than your father plays. No, it's when you actually feel it and create that energy that actually is transforming, not with you, but those around you. So Bilyana, I'm so thrilled to have you I'm in Arkansas, and you're way over near the beautiful Alps and Eastern Europe and all. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you got involved in all of this.
First of all, I have to say I'm a very stubborn woman. Okay, I'll start with that, because when usually the universe gives me some kind of messages, till about 3 years ago, I was doubting them, and I was like, okay, I need one more message so I can be convinced exactly what you're telling me. And all my friends were telling me about Dr. Joe and all the work, what he does about neuroscience and quantum physics, and merging those two together and teaching people how to live much better life from a mental and physical perspective, and happiness as well. And it was one of my friends out of nowhere saying, do you know about Dr. John? I was like, okay, so now I have one more message. Now I need to do something about it. And guess what? A month later, I didn't still do anything. And a week after that, I injured my shoulder in the gym, to the point that I started going to physio, didn't help. Then I started going to the usual Chinese medicine with acupuncture, and it just did not help. All the way to, that was August 2018. And in December, I was in such huge pain that I just could not move my shoulder at all. And I said, okay, now is the time to start thinking about Dr. Joe Dispenza and anything what I heard from my friends telling me. And in January, I start learning. He has level 1 and level 2 of his courses online, so I could watch them at home. I could do all the meditations, and I could start feeling much better. Less pain in my shoulder. I still couldn't move it fully. It was like about 20% of movement back. Still huge, enormous pain, less than what it was, but still a lot more, way to go. And I knew subconsciously that physical pain is not, you can get some kind of help to a certain level, but then it's the brain work which needs to help you to shift in a completely different mentality and physicality. And in March 2019, I went to Mallorca, and I have to say I was completely shocked. We were 1,200 people. So imagine this, a huge tent with 1,200 people, pretty much chair next to a chair. That was much before COVID, right? and we had quite enough space in front between the rows, because during meditation we would lie down in front of our chair, so there was enough space to lie down. And because it's a tent, the whole floor is shaking every time when someone is moving around you. So the experience was like, either get it now and get over all your fears of any kind of fears you have, or never get it, right? And it was so drastic change to my physicality and the way I was thinking, in my old me way of thinking. So I started learning slowly about neuroplasticity, how really the brain works. And I could see so many people there with, with my shoulder, I think on day 3, I managed to start moving it about 60%, 70%. After the workshop, I kept doing the work at home, and now it's 100%. I mean, I've got all my movements back. But on the workshop, I started seeing all the people who they had so many, like a lot worse than my physical illnesses. And that really shocked me, that we had so many amazing stories of people healing in one meditation. And when we say meditations, he teach walking meditation, sitting meditation, lying down meditation, meditation with open eyes, with closed eyes, all kind of meditations. It was just incredible. Yeah.
Wow. Now, when you talk about terms epigenetics and neuroplasticity, those are terms a lot of people haven't used, and you probably won't hear them from doctors in your traditional clinic. But, having been out in Sedona and worked on this film, Sacred Journey of the Heart, where Dr. Joe and what those terms represent is because of the power of our body, of our brain and our heart, that we can actually change the makeup of our brain, of our DNA. Talk about what do those terms mean, and how it relates to the real power we have within ourselves for you, because obviously you were inspired, as many of us are, by an injury or a condition or illness, and you decided you were going to take control. And how did that evolve with you in terms of what that represents now? Because you pretty much are a believer in it.
I am, and for everyone, I just have to say, I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a scientist. I'm a digital nerd. I would say, I'm a digital nerd. The fact that I started learning is because I was really curious how on earth my body can change just like this, just with within few minutes, during a meditation. That was really a huge wow for me. And the way how I can explain it, or the most easiest way, is that, and that is pretty much most probably the easiest explanation what neuroplasticity is what we believe the moment when we put in our mind. And that's how you start talking today. You said, I was in a really bad situation and condition, and I just decided to get over it, right? It's that simple decision, and there you take it from there to say, you know what, from now on, I'm gonna just go with my inner knowing, inner belief, and I will start changing from my heart, from my center. This is the first step, I would say, to start changing. So from a neuroscience perspective, what the scientists basically said, for so long time, they said, brain cells doesn't regenerate, and certain cells in our body doesn't regenerate. And at some point they said, oops, we were really wrong. Actually, we can now prove that all kinds of cells regenerate in our body. And then what, and that's why the work of Dr. Joe and a lot more scientists in this area, they basically explain it in a very simple way, as of our body is full with cells. Cells creates tissues, tissue create organs, the organs create the full body and the different systems, right? But what is below the cell level is actually the molecule level. And what is below the molecule level is the energy. And when we meditate, or when what you guys do in this amazing CB for Life organization, when you hold love or you hold very positive emotions, what happens in our body is that we start vibrating. Every cell in our body start vibrating to the same emotion. So imagine that from any kind of vibration you are vibrating, and now raise your vibration and the energy, and you start vibrating in love or gratitude or joy or happiness. And thanks so much for putting them up, because I totally love them. So the moment when you start feeling those feelings and emotions, now every cell in your body is vibrating on the frequency of love, frequency of joy, frequency of happiness, right? And what happens with the brain and the body is that because now the whole body is vibrating on the same frequency, there is no disease, there is no imbalance. And at that moment is when happens, when something happens and just your whatever area in your body was basically having disease, is just switched to high vibration, high frequency. And this is when the magic happens. Scientifically, the magic happens because now you don't have imbalance in your body, because everything is vibrating. So the moment you practice the coherent vibration, we call it brain and heart coherence, that is the moment when you could keep going and practicing. This is when at some point your body is like, okay, I'm giving up. I'm gonna be just completely healed. It's fine. You know, hopefully that makes sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense. And you know, you talk about you know, that energy of love, and you know, several of the graphics that Tamara put up was you know, I mean, that energy, like the law of attraction, that which is likened to itself attracts. And so, you know, the power of that energy, that we are not, you know, Dr. Bruce Lipton, that came out, and I went to some of his workshops where he had the new biology and a lot of this about, you know, we're not chemical reactions or molecular. All of those things are actually energy. And you can, you know, based on your stories, you can actually change, be it the brain cells or your DNA, or, you know, your stories in life. Like, you know, for me, it's like, well, my mom dropped me when I was a baby from the crib on my head. So, you know, that's why I'm the way I'm in. You know, it's like, well, no, that's your story. No, we're changing that. She didn't really drop me, but I used it. I thought it sounded good. You know, made people feel sorry. Like, oh, but and then just the energy of love, and being able to shift that energy by choice, and that coherence, that field that goes around us from our heart, attracts and has power. And when you are with people in a room, you can walk into a room, and that field that comes, radiates from our heart. You can sense a person if you're in a room and you go, oh, this feels really good. I like these people, without anybody saying a word. Or you can walk in and go, ooh, something's not right. And when you radiate that love, when you're in that energy and flowing with people, laughing, I mean, or dancing or smiling or meditating, that multiplies that, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. But that coherence is where the head and the heart, and that, you know, that beat of when you look at the heart and you look at that space in between where the beats, that coherence is when everything is kind of in balance. And as I've said before, it's when you're out of coherence in life, that's where stress and a lot of dis-ease comes from, where it's almost like you have your foot on the brake and the gas pedal at the same time. You create this stress. And so, and there's so much in this world that gets into that brain state, or that frequency of beta frequency, where we're all just like chaotic frequency, instead of the alpha brain state when you talk about meditation and you get in that range. But everything from cell phone to news and all that stuff gets very chaotic. And we've seen stage 4, and I'd like, Carol, I'd like for you to address this, that we've seen people with, you know, really amazing power that happens with this community. Tamara, you want to jump in here real quick? Oh, can't hear you, Tamara. You're muted.
Okay, yes. First of all, because I was requested not to use names right now in regards to any stories, and so I just wanted to, have that be said. And then I'll let Carol then answer the question. And then I've got something that I have a question for you guys with some graphics to kind of bring this to everyone. However, after Carol's done, we're going to share a video about the organization that you're talking about, how that with Carol's going to be sharing, since she's the senior ambassador, what it is that we're doing with this international organization and who are we. And then I'm going to ask some questions with some simple graphics, and you guys can kind of walk us through it.
So Carol, go ahead. I mean, without naming names, you've been a part of this, and you've been connecting buddies, and you've seen so much. Can we tell us a little bit about what Bilyana is talking about in that power? You've actually witnessed it firsthand with some of these buddies, have you not?
Yes. What Bilyana is talking about is what we do in our community is we uplift everybody. We have laughter. We share different stories, and with having everybody have a buddy and being able to set them up and have them talk to each other, we've seen difference in many of our buddies in the community. And they've come back and reported to us, their results, and they've come back smiling and happy, and that's what this community is about. And I've talked to a lot of the buddies. I have them on my chat on Thursdays, and it makes them feel good because they're not alone and they have somebody to talk to in our community.
Yes, and may I add to this is that one thing we have also seen besides the smiles and the love and just a lot of laughing and giggling and everything is that the science is proving, because that's what in these slides that we've been sharing is that science is backing what we're talking about right now. And that's what I want to really stress with everyone that's watching this is that if, that there is science and there has to be trust in that, because I trusted my doctor, who you're going to see in just a moment, that there was science. He said that there was. I had no idea how much science. I had no idea what it was. I trusted my doctor, and I knew he knew what he was talking about. And now we have seen multiple people that have come back with actual results, paper in hand, that the results may be diminished or they may be gone. And we have seen this over and over and over every time. No. However, do we also see that if you put that effort in, that people are having such better lives, the quality of life? Oh, yes. Yeah. So much so. And that's what I want to share with this video right now. That was produced by Poe. Thank you very much. And then we'll continue. We're going to go into some simple graphics, guys, to really bring this home, because we got to talk Tamara's language too. Here we go.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for life.
Healing through connections.
And on cue, we have our next roundtable participant. We have Erin Houchin here, and she actually has worked very closely also with all of our buddies in a senior volunteer role. And before we go on to this next area, I would love to ask you, Poe is pretty much leading discussion today. However, I'd like to include you you work very closely with the community also, and have been for a while. And when we see love involved, when we see the humor, hope, heart hugs, whole lot of love, and raising the frequency, and you took the lead on Monday nights with your partner in the Magic Monday Hour, and that was, you talked about how magical heart math is, and so much more. So Poe is asking, what have we seen in our actual buddies? What have we seen as results? Without naming names. We're not going to name names today. But, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself before we go into that too?
Well, I'm Erin, and I am so glad I'm here. I'm really excited. This is one of the subject that really lights me up. In fact, Skip is one of I have to say, he was like a celebrity when I very first met him, not knowing that he was connected to knowing so much about not only the heart math, but so much more. And so I'm so glad that I haven't seen him for a little bit. So I'm excited to see and be here with him, because in the community, we kind of was able to also bring in the dynamic because of his wealth of knowledge. And so I find my passion in serving, and with serving with the Chemo Buddies, it lit me up to be able to go into my heart and to witness miracles, when you get into that heart space and into love, when you're in the frequency of love and playing. It's really amazing to see how miracles just unfold right and left. And so I think that that's like the best part of all of this, is to watch, different situations where there is like really feeling as if there's no hope, to getting back into that heart space, breathing, and just watching, just like a flower, but it's really amazing.
Very well said. And because we actually have walked the journey with a few people that were at that point of, and Carol and Erin, either of you or both jump in here, because we have walked that journey with some that have been to nearly that place in that diagnosis, in that chapter of their book of life. And then when they've embraced this, given it a try, and then started seeing the results, and then really diving in and deeply and learning, it's been pretty incredible to be walking alongside. And you have been, both of you, in different roles, have been mentor, buddy, confidant, cheerleader, sometimes tough love, whatever it may be. And how does that feel? And what would you like to share?
Carol, I want to hear from you, my dear. I would love to hear from Carol, because she's one that I've watched just bloom.
I was waiting for you to say something. No, we've watched a lot of our buddies that were at a point that they felt that there was no hope for them. And then once they joined the community and we started showing the love to them and showing what this community is all about, they've gone back for, their appointments and tests and stuff like that, and come back and gave us tremendous news that, they've had no sign of cancer and that they're in the journey of healing. So that's what this community has done. Over to you, Erin.
Oh, well, I think that when you provide, hello, Shannon, when you provide a community and you provide that sense of hope, it really gives you something to look forward to. And in the community, I really feel that that's really what's been provided. Is I remember at the very beginning when we started the chat and the community within Facebook, it was something that we were just going to be there to make sure that no matter what was happening through the holidays, that they knew we were going to show up every day. And we didn't know, at that point, we were just showing up and bringing as much value as we can. And doing that now, it has evolved to so much more. I mean, it's a family.
Yeah. So thank you very much, both of you. Okay, I promised some simple graphics, and they're going to help to bring this home to some that might be still, because yes, we sometimes hear the quantum physics and we hear this and we hear that, and until you walk that simple walk, one foot in front of the next with this information, sometimes you don't quite get it. So we're starting with simple graphics in that in our lives, sometimes when we're going through a fight or flight situation, or we've gotten that phone call or something's going on, sometimes our brain wants to take over, sometimes our heart wants to take over. So we might be dealing in this. This might be going on, right? And so then you got them looking it out. You got them going after each other. They're like, I'm in charge. No, I'm in charge. No, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. And then sometimes there's a clear winner, right? All right. So then next, the idea here, and I love it that Erin's here for this, because the idea then is how can they play together? How can they find a way to do the teeter-totter? How can they find a way to win? And yes, just like all of us here, many of us, we grabbed our coffee mugs and they're having coffee with us to talk about this today. And now they're going and having Valentines because they've figured out a way to win together. All right, so these simple graphics. Okay, I thought, put it in a way
I love them.
that people can understand, because we need to sometimes, and I'm every day I'm on the phone with someone. Every day I'm texting someone. Every day I'm meeting new people. Every day. And I hear this over and over and over and over nearly every single day. And that is, I just heard this. I just was in front of that. I don't remember everything that was said. I'm, is this critical? I don't understand the reports, on and on and on. And so then their head gets involved, and then their heart is starting to feel it. And there's that whole thing starting. So now with that, I'm leaning it over to you guys, because a lot of people can relate to this and they can get to the Valentine's Day walking hand in hand. And right.
Well, Bilyana, you were talking about this, and this coherence and the and really that the brain and the heart. How I remember a phrase saying the longest journey we'll ever travel is that 18 inches from our head to our heart. How does those graphics resonate to you in what you have learned and experienced? Because I thought they were perfect.
They were absolutely perfect. I absolutely love them, because that's exactly what happens in our minds step by step when we hear bad news, and then exactly what happens. But when we're in a fight and flight mode, the first graphic, it's really difficult to jump on the next step unless you're really present in the now moment and you take that step to take a decision that you will have to make it work. You have to go ahead and do something about it, not just to give up and say, okay, so that's it with my life. Let's just, give up, right? So whoever gives up, it's losing that battle. But when you decide not to give up and keep going, this is where you actually realize that there is a better place mentally and physically, and then there is solution, and then there is a different way of dealing with cancer, and therefore that's where you realize that there is also Chemo Buddies for life, and you can get help. What I wanted to share with you is that you guys work together as buddies, and I want to explain what happens. So in the body of someone receiving the love is that balance which is happening, because it was your decision to say, I'm going to change right now. And in that moment, your brain is helping your heart, and that connection is start getting there. This is what's happening. But believe or not, from a neuroscience proof perspective already, is that whoever is right now, we call it holding the space for you, whoever is doing the meditation for you and thinking for you and sending you this love, what's happened is that in your body of the healer is also happening healing. Because when you're a healer, what happens is that your heart literally swells and explodes. So to be able to send love to someone, the healing love, your body really expands, and the heart's center expands. And when your own heart center expands, that also doing this heart and brain coherence to be able to send that love to someone else. But you're actually at the same time, you're healing your body as well. So if you're still having some kind of imbalances somewhere, you are balancing them. Although you're not, you're not concentrating on your body, you're concentrating on someone else. Still, your body is getting a healing from yourself. And I've seen this so many times. We do this with all the groups I'm in for healing, and it's just amazing.
Beautiful. Well, and that you mentioned that power of being present, because regardless if it's a disease or an injury or this COVID thing, which you went through, Bilyana, back in, you said in March, and I went through it back in December. I had some of the same issues of breathing and so forth. And of course, when I tested positive and was having the symptoms, we get into that, or when I was told I had cancer, or when a number of things, I tend to, our mind starts to go, fear and what if this and what if that, and things in this worry, and that chart that we get in that whole depression, anger, fear mode, and we're so far away from that love frequency. So, how do we go from that, of moving up? And some people say, well, I'm down there in that fear mode. I can't just flip a switch and be in love, It's like, and part of this was, and one of the first time I came across this was why I moved to Sedona, was a guy named Dr. David Hawkins, and he wrote a book called Power versus Force that I heard about. And I wanted to go to Sedona and see him. And it was all about shifting these frequencies, even moving from fear to anger. Because when I got COVID back in December, I was scared to death. I thought I had, was high risk and this, and who do I, and I thought, what, I can't just go love and joy and peace. I've got to get angry. And so I got angry at COVID. I'm going to kick your butt, COVID. And then I had the courage to try and do certain things that I could have just stayed very apathetic down there and sunk into a low vibration. But that part of moving up that vibrational scale, which is part of your brain, because your brain's saying, oh, worry about that, which is off in the future. We're not in that present now moment. We're worried about this. And oftentimes, sometimes we worry about our past, of bringing stuff forward. And so that staying in the now, and you talked a lot about meditation, all types of meditation. And I think when we talk to a lot of the groups in the CB4L, so many people are having these issues and diagnosis and family things, and our brain gets all in this, and our, our heart's depleted from energy about what's going to happen or not going to happen, and not being present. How important, and Erin, you've witnessed this, and you've witnessed people. I mean, we tend to jump ahead like the wake of a boat, doesn't show where we are, and the future is not dependent upon the wake of the boat. It's the past. The motor, the engine, the throttle, the steering of what we're doing in the present moment determines where we're going. How I got a feeling you've dealt with so many people in this community. How does that relate to of the work and how powerful that is? Either one of you, Erin.
Well, so whenever you're anywhere but in the present, that's kind of the state of being in our head, because we're going off of based on what our brain is telling us from past experiences or from the programming or whatever it was we know from the past. And so when we come back to the present moment, we can, and it's as simple, this is the best part, is really it's as simple as like really putting your hand on your heart and breathing, taking a deep breath, and I feel, I touch, I stay is what I touch my heart. And just imagine, like, it's as simple as that, and you come back and you everything about your surroundings, what's happening right here, when you start to feel your heartbeat and you're more aware of it, everything starts to kind of come together, and you feel your body very much calming down. And rather than panic is what we're told, you could be excited. I mean, your brain doesn't know the difference between the two. It's really or your body doesn't know the difference, I should say. Your brain is what tells you which it is. But when you're in your heart, it's so much easier you get clarity. And when you're able to just simply breathe, which usually when you're in that state and your brain is going a million miles an hour, that is when the panic sets in, and you start, I mean, it's a snowball effect. All of a sudden, this one thing is all so big, but you breathe back into the present and what's happening right now. I mean, for me, I tend to go off of laughter. Laughter is my specialty, I guess, because I love to play. And then it can come into another extreme where you feel really emotional. And I just have witnessed so many miracles, the moment from being completely panicked and overwhelmed to coming back into the present moment and really just finding what's happening right now, because nothing else matters. Even the next breath doesn't matter as much as right now, because that's all we have is right now. And I've just watched so many in our community be able to embrace that, and now they're teaching others. And so I really love that you have somebody to lean on in that moment, because the whole point of having a buddy is to have that other person that's able to give you a different perspective but still be there as a support.
Beautiful.
I love it.
That's beautiful. Well, yeah, and so many people are alone right now. I mean, we're dealing with here's the COVID and lockdowns and travel issues, and here it is, a tour of love, and we're doing it virtually, but this is Valentine's Day, and normally you're with people or friends or family or a person. I've got my love monkeys up here. You can see there's one of them. There's the other one, and I got my dog, and but basically, it's easy to for a lot of people feeling very isolated. And I love that. Put your hand on the heart, and even through the buddy system or this beautiful connection with all of you that are all over the world. You're up around Salt Lake City, right, Erin?
Yes, yeah, I'm actually in central Utah, in the middle of nowhere, for more than Salt Lake, but yes, in Utah. And what's interesting, Skip, is I feel for me that because I feel like I'm more connected now than I have ever in my entire life. And that's even with what's going on in the world and being isolated for the majority of the time. Yet, because our brains doesn't know the difference either between us being in the same room and us right now and being in the present moment. And so sometimes I actually kind of tend to forget that I'm not right here next to you, because I can feel the difference. Like, I feel so connected. and with Carol being in Canada, or, you know, all of you, like, it's so fun to really connect back into your heart, and you'll be thinking about someone, or you'll be able to send them love, and all of a sudden there's a call, or, you know, and that's how it works. We are connected, whether we think we are or not. And so really, when we are able to love and really feel connected to somebody else, that's why the buddy system is so amazing, in my opinion, because even though you're alone, you still have somebody. You don't have to do it alone.
We have seen so much growth, and the areas that, and it goes along with the whole idea of the heart map and mind mapping, is that the areas that they really wanted to work on, because of the fact that Erin is in a small community, and at the time she's thinking, I really want to get, you know, kind of like get out of the community, yet I'm here. Well, now to hear her, how long, a couple of years later, where she's saying in the middle of COVID that she's never felt so connected. And I know she's connected because of not only our program, but people that she's met within the program and now doing other things. And that is pretty exciting to see. And then in what's being said by Shannon about not being able to get a hold of one of her buddies right now, which that can happen, and reaching out, knowing that she can reach out right now to the community, in the public, in the private, by text, by messenger, whatever it may be, and that there will be that faith, that knowing that I'll be able to, you know, this will get rectified one way or another, and that the community comes together and takes care of things, because all things stop when we're in our closed group, in our safe place. All things stop when we need to take care of something. So people come and they'll say, okay, this is what's up. And then different people step in and make things happen. And that's what I wanted to share here, because really, when you think about the day of love and a day of you know, focusing on Valentine's, and I've been hearing a lot of things about people kind of like boycotting today and everything. And I thought, no. We're not boycotting today, because our hearts have so much to give us, and we're learning this right now. Who knew that really our hearts can even help heal us, more than even just that unconditional love that maybe our grandparents talked to us about, or the things that maybe we learned going to some kind of a religious class, or whatever it may be. But there's science behind that. That is powerful. The tour of love is dedicated to be raising the frequency of our world through that 4-letter word, love. And our hearts have a lot more to do with everything than maybe a lot of us knew. And I hope you are learning right now, and we're going to continue the discussion. Okay, there you go.
Well, and Bilyana, I'd like you to jump in on, because what this has been about, and we've used a lot of terms that, you know, they're complicated, and neuroplasticity and epigenetics and heart math and coherence and brain mapping and different people. But what it boils down to, and the Sacred Journey of the Heart film, when I worked on that, was that it showed that science and these spiritual traditions, be it the power of prayer that our ancestors, or rituals, or meditation, the seeds of so many religions, that, and even the stuff that was in Sedona, Arizona, was, you know, all the woo-woo this and that. It's like, guess what? Science is now proving that our ancestors and all of that is actually they've been right all along. Bilyana, does that relate to you, what you've learned, and what people I think are kind of doing an oh wow wake up to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also in healing communities, and this is the basic, exactly the way how you do it in CB4L. That's exactly how healing communities are doing it around the world, like getting together. We don't get together physically. You mentioned our ancestors. Ancestors, long time ago, they were getting together, making a round circle, and then putting whoever needs to be healed in the middle, so they can put the intention on that person, that body, and they can pump energy in the energy fields. to that person, and that heals the person in 1 session, 2 sessions, etc. And that is what science right now is proving. We don't even have to be physically together to put our intention on someone and then send that love and that healing energy to that person, and just pump that energy into their energy field, so the energy field then knows what to do. And you know what is interesting also, what is something we've been doing with from the community, from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He teaches to not know what is wrong with that person in front of us, and to heal that person, because he says it doesn't matter what exactly is imbalanced in that body. What you always use love to heal that. The highest level of any emotion is love. So it doesn't matter what's wrong for you. It doesn't matter if you know what it is or what is not, right? Because you might think that this is imbalanced, but might be actually something else physically to be imbalanced. And the moment when that is fixed, the body fixed everything else. So so when we do these healing sessions, we don't even ask anymore, like, what do you want us to heal? We don't ask these questions. We just say, be there at this day, this time, and we're gonna just do the energy. And yeah, it's a simple intention putting towards a person or people, and then it's then the power of that intention and the power of love, what you send from your heart to the other heart.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely. And it's something that we all have the power to do. This isn't just a few. We all have that given from our creator, universe, God, whatever you want to call it. We have that energy, that power within us to do that. Is that not right?
Correct. Yeah, that's something, you know, like nowadays I find it, for me, it's very normal. Every one of us is a healer, and that's I've been living this kind of life as this is normal, right? And when people start doubting this, or they say, I'm not a healer, I'm not trained, I need something special. No, you don't. you really don't. And Erin, you explained it so well. You just focus on your heart, and then you send that to someone else. It's the best explanation. So you just don't doubt. You have it, and our ancestors had it, and they used it every time when someone was sick in that community. We're just doing it exactly the same.
And science is proven.
And
yes.
and I hate to break this up, but we are at the point where we need to start wrapping it up. And so I'd love for everybody to take a moment and share your last thoughts in regards to this and today's special day. Happy Valentine's. And also, guys, if you're getting a lot of value out of this, let us know in the comments, because we'd like to continue this discussion if you feel that it is of warrant. So go ahead. Poe, I'll let you lead the roundabout for getting this all wrapped up.
Well, I'll start it off and just really offer the thoughts of this tour of love, and how important is my kind of thought on Valentine's, which every day should be a Valentine's Day, of sending love out. So how important and powerful is that in this time we're shifting through, that our ancestors talked about, our science, we look out the window, we see it. How important is that frequency and that power of love as we are moving through this time we're in? How about go ahead.
What I was going to suggest is let's just make it really short so we can end with we have a special request from Shannon Green to sing the song Poe that you and Juju did, and so we need to have enough time to be able to share that. So if we can make it really, really quick.
Who's next? Anybody? How important is love on this day and for the future?
I will say it has everything to do with everything. That's my answer.
Amen.
I would say there is no coincidences that we're doing this show exactly on 14th of February. So sending love to all of you right now.
Well, and I
And
think that
Valentine's Day is just not.
Go ahead, Carol.
Valentine's Day is just not for couples. It's for everybody.
Love it. Yes.
So we're doing it today. It's showing that we're spreading the love to everybody.
Awesome.
well, and I'm going to say that like showing up in love sometimes is actually showing up in service to others. When we're serving others and we're really like, I like to also just kind of envision me hugging somebody with my heart. And when you show up in service to others, it's amazing how your world shifts dramatically.
Absolutely. So we are going to share right now a song that is going to be a Valentine song to all of you from all of us here at Tour of Love and cb4l.org. And we will be back next Sunday, and I wouldn't be surprised if we will continue this discussion. So show back up. Here we go.
Together we are stronger than sadness. Together we are stronger than cancer. Together we are stronger. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. Human hope, hearts, hearts, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hearts, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hearts, love, love, love. Human hope, hearts, hearts, love. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. We are one. We are love. We are hope. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts.